3. And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Well, it's Friday on Coast Vue, where we celebrate the men and women who are making coastal Mississippi such a special place to live, work, and play. And as I always say on Friday, Jeff Duncan contributes to that because, look, whether the Saints are winning or losing, the opportunity to talk about the Saints, our beloved Saints, we love them more when they win, but we still love them when they lose. And we're hoping they can still pull out the season this year. This year, just because of all the injuries that they've had to contend with. Unbelievable. But anyway, without any further ado, let me welcome my friend Jeff Duncan from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. How you doing, Jeff?
Ricky, I'm doing good, man. It's good to see you guys, and always fun to visit again. Hopefully with better luck. I mean, two losses in a row. I'd like to kind of get back on the winning side of things.
I hear you, man. And we'll talk about that. Hey, you actually spoke to the Gulfport Gridiron Club in the last week or two. Thank you for coming over and chatting with that group. Yeah.
Sully asked me to come. We actually tried to get it done way back early in the season. We couldn't marry up our schedules, so it ended up happening right in early November. And man, it was like all kinds of news going on. I think it was the game after the Monday after Jameis Winston got hurt, and there was just a lot of stuff going on. So we had a really good session, a great group of guys.
Well, you got great reviews. Matt McDonnell, the executive director of the Mississippi Coast Coliseum, who you had a chance to meet today, he sung your praises, but I'm not surprised. I mean, anyone who's written the number of books that you've written about the Saints, and to be the Hall of Fame selection committee, to have been sports writer of the year, to be the guy who writes and comments about the Saints, I'm not surprised that you got great reviews. So anyway, thank you for making yourself accessible to us.
Hey, look, the thing that blew me away, Ricky, was just the wide variety of fans that support all these different colleges and high schools throughout the Gulf Coast. And everyone had their own little team, but everybody had such great in-depth knowledge about their teams. So it was really fun. The night went by really fast, and everybody was able to contribute to the session. It was a great time. So I was really happy to be able to go over there.
When you look at the game last week, gosh, what a disappointing loss. But you look at the game and you see with a missed opportunity here and there, all in all, the team played a pretty good game against a really good team. And it just shows you need a break or two to work for you, and you can lose a game. And that kind of sums up that game, doesn't it?
Yeah, they just don't have a real large margin for error with this team. This is the 7th straight game, Ricky, that the Saints have been in a one-score game in the fourth quarter. They've won 4 of them, lost 3 of them. I just think it's going to be that way this year. But look, you mentioned it. That's a really good team, arguably the hottest team in the NFL. They've won 6 games in a row. They've beaten the Chiefs, the Rams, and maybe a bunch of good teams during that stretch, the Bills. And the Saints went on the road without 5 offensive starters and played them down to the last minute of the game and just did not get enough breaks. They had a critical turnover there, start the second half in a game that you really can't afford to turn it over like that. So I came away more encouraged than I was discouraged. I thought the defense played well enough to win, but they need to play that way every week. They can't have those letdowns like they did against the Falcons, and you lose a game like that. I mean, the defense has got to bring it every week for this team to be successful.
So when you look back at that game, other than these missed opportunities, what stands out to you? What stands out to you that says, wow, we really still got an opportunity. We got a big stretch coming up, and we're going to find out what the Saints are all about in the next 3 weeks. But what's your read on what you're watching?
Well, the one thing that was encouraging was that the Saints had 6 plays offensively of 20 yards or more. That's been an issue all year. I think an overlooked issue. Explosive plays is what it's called, a gain of 20 or more yards. During the heyday of the Drew Brees era, it was not uncommon for the Saints to have 80 to 90 of those in a given season. Right now, Ricky, after this past week where they had 6 of them in one game, they have 24 on the year. We're halfway through the year. They're last in the entire NFL. in explosive plays. I mean, everything is hard for this offense. They have to march up and down the field, put together these multi-play drives, and if they don't play flawlessly and execute at a high level, they end up having one of those holding penalties, or something goes awry and they're not able to put it together. That's really been the problem this year. They're not getting anything easy. They're not getting those chunk plays. So it was encouraging to see them get 6 big plays in that game. Deontay Harris made a great play. They had some long pass plays. That's something that I think they need to build on going forward.
Drop passes, still sort of a challenge for the team. What's the latest on that?
Well, Sean Payton talked about it. I mean, I think that the combination of the drops and then the ball placement, some of the ball placement by the quarterback, I just think Sean Payton realizes the passing attack is not going to be the strength of this team. They don't have Mike Thomas or Marcus Colston, a receiver, who can make those competitive catches. That's what you have to live with in the NFL. I mean, the guys just aren't going to run free wide open in NFL secondaries. They're too good. There are too many good athletes. It's just very difficult to do. So you're going to have to make some of those tough catches. And we've seen them try to bring in Kenny Stills and try to bring in Kevin White. But frankly, there's a reason those guys are on the street. You're not going to find a savior at this point of the season that's going to come in and make those tough catches in the NFL. It's just too difficult. So the Saints are going to have to lean on the running game. Hopefully they get Alvin Kamara back this week. We're going to find out more about that. But they need to get back to what their bread and butter is, playing defense, being efficient on offense. I think Trevor Siemian played well. But this team is not, at this point of the season, going to suddenly be a dominant passing attack. It's just not going to be their MO.
And then, you saw, a lot of people were disappointed we didn't get Odell Beckham. But the reality is you saw pretty quickly that he wasn't going to be a savior even if we got him. I mean, the timing and all these other issues, you just don't just introduce someone like that and change the course of history. It doesn't work that way, does it?
No, and I think that's really the heart. I've got a story that's running this week on this exact issue. Saints fans got so used to, for 15 years, having this juggernaut offense. And now the post-Drew Brees era, you're just seeing how difficult it is in the NFL when you don't have a Hall of Fame quarterback, you don't have an all-pro level receiver, how hard it is to move the ball consistently. And I think people all got spoiled a little bit. The Saints made it look easy. Those back shoulder throws that Marcus Colston and Drew Brees connected on all those years, it's not that easy. And you're seeing it now. And I just think it's gonna continue to be this kind of struggle until, especially with Mike Thomas out of the lineup, without a preeminent receiver. They're just going to have to manufacture points and lean heavily on Sean Payton's X and O's wizardry.
It's one of the reasons we had so many plays over 20 yards. Could it be that because Alvin Kamara was not in the game, that that we were dumping off a lot of passes to him, and he was such a dominant player for us that we had to go to some other types of plays and they just worked for us? Or was it not related to that at all?
No, I don't think so, because one of the big plays they had was a 34-yard pass to Mark Ingram on a wheel route, which would have been Alvin Kamara, and he would have definitely had that same result.
Yeah.
He's obviously a great receiver. No, I think that they're just, that was a game where it changed. Once Tennessee got that quick touchdown in the second half after the Deontay Harris fumble, they only had to drive 19 yards for a touchdown. That gave them a 2-score lead. They were up 20-6, and their defense changed. I know a lot of people were like, well, Trevor Siemian started lighting it up. Why weren't they doing it earlier? Well, it's because Tennessee once you get a 2-score lead in a game like that, you change your defense, and they started playing much more conservatively, letting the Saints throw it underneath. That wouldn't have been the case if they were only up 3 points, I think. So things changed, and I frankly think they kind of let the Saints get back in it, but it ended up working out for them. They managed that game pretty well. That's a good team, and the Saints were helped by the fact they didn't have Julio Jones or Derrick Henry in that game. So they concentrated their defense on A.J. Brown, took him out of the game, and they really needed to perform better to stop Marcus Johnson, a player I've really, frankly, never even heard of. He's kind of a journeyman receiver. He ends up with 5 catches and 100 yards, most of them against Marshawn Lattimore. That just can't happen if you're going to beat a team like that on the road.
So what's the latest on Alvin Kamara?
Well, I think it's going to be a game time decision this week. I think they are optimistic he might come back. But this is a game they got to get, Ricky. At Philadelphia, it's not going to be easy. Philly's playing well. Jalen Hurts is playing extremely well at quarterback. This is one they got to get if they hope to get through this 4-game gauntlet and still have a chance to make the playoffs.
We're going to talk more about that 4-game gauntlet here when we come back on the other side. But this is Jeff Duncan from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune, and it's Saints Friday here on Coast Vue. We'll see you after we get back from break.
Coast Vue on SuperTalk 103.1 is brought to you by J. Allen Toyota on I-10 exit 38 Gulfport. See all the incredible inventory at allentoyota.com. And remember, when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
It's 2021 and J. Allen Toyota still has a lifetime warranty on all new Toyotas. They all come with Toyota Care. We've got a great rental department. We've got great used cars. We've got a parts and service department ready to help you. So when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
Thousands of Bulldog fans have subscribed to the Thunder and Lightning podcast. Have you? On each episode, Brian Haydad and Joel Coleman give you an inside look at your Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Thunder and Lightning podcast is free and available on demand at supertalk.fm and on your smartphone. Just search for Thunder and Lightning on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thunder and Lightning from SuperTalk Mississippi, covering the Bulldogs like no one else. SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visit.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back, now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever. Check us out, the new Bob 106.3.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. It's kind of the Saints Friday, Jeff Duncan Day here on Coast View. You know, it's interesting what you can't see if you're in the you can't see because what Jeff and I can see and what Kyle can see is that we have a video camera that's on in Matt McDonnell's office right now because Matt's coming on next in the next segment. And what you see there is a cutout of Saban. Because Matt is a big-time Alabama fan. I mean, dude, he is a big-time Alabama fan. So coming back to Jalen Hurst, man, Jalen Hurst, man, the way he handled that last year at Alabama said a lot about who he was. He was a winner at Alabama. But, boy, did Alabama at that moment have a stable full of, like, big-time quarterbacks, wouldn't you say?
Well, yeah, Mac Jones, who's probably the front runner for the Rookie of the Year award, wasn't even able to get on the field back then. He was the number 3 quarterback behind Tua Tagovailoa, and the reason Jalen Hurts left and went to Oklahoma is because he got beat out by Tua. So you had 3 NFL starting quarterbacks on the team at one time. Just amazing. I mean, that's just a machine in Tuscaloosa, and it would not shock me to see them win it all again this year. They're getting better every week. It looks like it's going to be a Georgia-Alabama showdown.
Wow, so and that's going to be so interesting. Be fun to watch. That is for sure. So as we zero in on this 4-game stretch, wow, it's going to be a defining 4-game stretch for the Saints, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think they need to get healthy to run this gauntlet. I mean, we talked about Alvin Kamara, but I think a big loss also is Teron Armstead at left tackle. Hopefully they get him back. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, I don't think is going to be back anytime soon. But you got Philly on the road, a place you've lost your last 2 times you've gone there. It's never easy. They're playing better. They're still contending for a playoff position at least. And then you come back home with the Thanksgiving Day game against Buffalo. And then a week later, you're playing Dallas in the Superdome, 2 of the best teams in the NFL. These wins, I mean, they've got to somehow scratch out at least 1 win, I think, in these next 3 to kind of be in position for the final stretch run.
And Sean Payton mentioned that that Taysom Hill got tweaked. What are you hearing about that?
Yeah, he did. I mean, I saw it when it happened. He tapped himself out on the helmet. That means, hey, I need to come out. And it was an interesting play because he caught a pass along the sidelines and just kind of took it was a big hit, but it wasn't a earth-shattering hit. And I just think he's still dealing with the lingering effects of that concussion. That was a good example to me that he's not 100% because it wasn't helmet to helmet or anything. He just kind of took a shot in the ribs kind of and tapped out. And so he was not in the game for a couple of series and came back in later. And he's a big part. When they don't have Alvin Kamara and then you lose Taysom Hill and then you'd also lost Ty Montgomery on the first series to that really grisly dislocated finger. He was the backup running back in that game. So they were really shorthanded at running back there for a while.
What's the story on Ty?
I don't think he's going to play for a while. I mean, that was a compound fracture that his bone came out of his skin. So I would imagine he's going to be sidelined for a while. Hopefully they get Kamara back and it kind of helps. I mean, I thought Mark Ingram played really well in place of Kamara, and that's why you brought him in, just in case something like that happened to Kamara. Ingram still looks like he's got some juice in those legs. And when we mentioned the 34-yard pass, that might be the I tried to look it up, Ricky. I think it might be the longest pass reception of his career. I can't imagine Mark Ingram catching one much longer.
He seems leaner, Jeff. Is he less? Does he weigh less than he did when he was here before?
I don't think so. I think he's just I don't know. He's playing very well. I can tell you that. And I thought the offensive line played fine. That's a good defensive front that Tennessee has. And I think Tennessee, I said this to somebody this week, I think they're a really good model for Saints fans to look at. Ryan Tannehill was a guy that played for another team. He was a former first-round pick that really kind of washed out in Miami. He found a second home in Tennessee, but I don't think anybody would say he's an elite quarterback. But that team, the individual parts add up to, the whole is greater than the individual parts. And they're very good defensively. They know what they are offensively. And they could be very much a Super Bowl contender without having some superstar quarterback. And I think that might be the MO of the New Orleans Saints post Drew Brees, something like what we see in Tennessee.
How do you think Simeon compares with the Tannehill?
I think similarly. I mean, I think Tannehill might be he's younger, obviously, but I think the same point is that you can win with a game manager, a guy that needs to make key plays on third down, knows where to go with the ball, and avoids mistakes. I mean, I think talking to Taysom Hill last week about the formula this offense has, it's basically don't mess up, run the ball, play field position, and lean on that defense and special teams. And that's what the Saints were doing in that game. That's why they were in it. But that turnover offensively and the fact that the defense did not get a turnover, I mean, that's the margin for error you've got with the way this team has to play.
And then, of course, everyone has analyzed it every which way but loose. But the roughing the passer call was not just a bad call in the moment, but it negated a really important interception that occurred. And I haven't heard an evaluation of that play that said that should have been a roughing the passer call.
No, well, Gene Steratore on the broadcast said in his opinion it wasn't roughing. And Sean Payton talked about it this week, and I think he made a great point. They've gone too far in protecting the quarterback. The title of the penalty is roughing the passer, and that was not roughing the passer. And I understand the motivation of the league. They're trying to keep their quarterbacks healthy. They're vulnerable a lot of times. Everyone wants to see the star quarterbacks in these games. But there's got to be a little bit of common sense used, and I just think we've gone too far in protecting them. And look, not just that call, but I think the Saints had one go their way a couple of weeks ago when they were playing Tampa Bay. I think Devin White did a very similar thing where he left his feet to try and block a pass, and the natural reaction of the quarterback when someone's flying at you is to duck your head. I mean, that's how you react instinctively. And Devin White landed on Trevor Siemian, and Trevor Siemian had thrown an interception in the end zone, exact same result, and the Saints got the ball back and scored because of a roughing the passer call that I thought was just as bogus as the one that they had to go against them. So these things do even out, but they're just tough to stomach because they're such game-altering plays.
It was interesting watching Sean Payton and the post-game conversation. Interview, and when he spoke to the press, I've never seen him at more a loss for words, or maybe more importantly, not wanting to say much.
Well, I think the issue there not only was the call. Look, these NFL coaches, Ricky, they're control freaks to some degree, and they can't control that. So when it's out of your control, and you're a Type A personality like Sean Payton, it's difficult to stomach. But more than anything, I think, was the frustration of that game, in that they knew that they had a very narrow margin for error to win that game, and they followed their script almost to a T in every way except the fumble in the second half and some of the key penalties they had, including the one by Adam Troutman late. It was self-inflicted. These were self-inflicted mistakes. That also contributed, along with the call that Sean didn't agree with. Well, it was also, I think, a lot of frustration with his own team because they had a chance in that game. Tennessee was kind of ripe for an upset, I think, coming off a bunch of emotional wins, and the Saints had it. They had it within their grasp, and they let it slip away.
Are we trying out kickers this week?
Well, they brought in a kicker, Brett Maher. He's going to be on the practice squad. And I think they're going to stick with Brian Johnson, but there's no – he doesn't have a very long leash. You can't make an extra point. I mean, they've got a guy on the practice squad that I'm sure they'll veteran player Brett Maher, who they will upgrade. But I mean, at some point you got to maybe stick with the young guy and ride out some of the early struggles. But I've noticed him when I was on the field in Seattle before the Seahawks game. It was his first game with the Saints. I watched him in pregame warmups. The one thing I noticed, Ricky, was when he misses to the left every time. It's kind of like a golf swing. He's got the same kind of pull, and it's an issue. Obviously, they got to get that straightened out because the operation of the place kick was fine. It was all on the kicker.
The other point of that press conference with Sean Payton is he said at some point it's the nature of the league. If you have repeat offenders, you just got to bring somebody else in. I wonder who he's thinking about. People like Adam Troutman.
No, I mean I don't think he's gonna get rid of Adam Troutman, but he might have to go to someone else at tight end, and play more snaps. I think that's what he's talking about. Maybe going more playing time to other players on the roster if they can't get anything out of him. I mean, Adam Troutman right now has got 4 drop passes, second on the team, but Alvin Kamara leads the team with 5. So it's really the tight end and running back more than the receivers that are dropping the ball.
Wow. That's something very interesting to think about. Anyway, Jeff Duncan, you're the man. I appreciate you taking time to visit with us today. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, hopefully after another big win on the road, Ricky, but look forward to talking to you again then. Take care, buddy.
You bet, buddy. Take care. We'll see you. When we come back, we have Matt McDonnell from the Mississippi Coast Coliseum and Convention Center. See you after this.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back, now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Check us out, the new Bob 106.3.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
Get the scoop on what happened in college football and what to expect in the NFL. Each Sunday on Sports Sunday with Michael Borky. Get the story behind the stats, 8 to 10 a.m. on SuperTalk Mississippi, supertalk.fm, and watch the show on supertalk.tv. SuperTalk Mississippi. We're more than just words. This is where the story of your state is told. Proud to cover the Magnolia State like nobody else. SuperTalk Mississippi.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visit.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. Talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer, songwriter, has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because, I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, /
Slash. I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant. Slash. I was in the National Guard. And,
Wow.
All this stuff was going on at the same time. Slash, I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show. Every day, we're driving the debate in America with the fastest moving, hardest hitting, most comprehensive, fact-based commentary on the radio. We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth. Our show is a meeting place of ideas. We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Weeknights at 9
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show
on SuperTalk Mississippi.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back. Now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Check us out. The new Bob 106.3.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome back to Coast View. Boy, today's been an interesting day for lots of reasons, a little power problem here and there. But, I said this before, oftentimes during the break, we have some great conversations. And we had Jeff Duncan from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune on at the same time with Matt McDonnell, Executive Director from the Mississippi Coast Coliseum. And Matt asked Jeff a question. I said, whoa, stop. We want to hear the answer to that question on the air. So why don't let's come back to this. Matt, ask your question of Jeff.
Well, let me preface it by saying I had the pleasure of getting to hear Jeff speak at the Gulfport Gridiron Club a couple of weeks ago, and very informative. And, I'm not so much a pro guy, so I like to get the scoop on the college game. And he had a little insight on Arch Manning and the LSU coaching search. But you know what? If you don't shop for the groceries, you can't be successful in college football. And my alma mater has always been pretty good shopping for the groceries, and I wanted to know about any updates on Arch Manning's future and where he's heading in college football.
Well, you're not alone, Matt. I think everyone in the South wants to know about Arch Manning, and I really believe that it's still up in the air. I don't think anybody has emerged as a leader, but I do think some of the issues that Texas is having right now, I think they've lost 5 games in a row, really struggling under Steve Sarkisian. He has done, I think, the best job of any of the head coaches in recruiting personally Arch Manning. He's really developed a rapport with him. I think the family likes Austin a lot. I think they like the fact that maybe Arch would be kind of traveling his own road by going to Texas. So I think in some ways that's still attractive because it's a neutral choice for him. He doesn't anger anybody in the SEC if he picks somebody outside the conference. So I think that's still an option. I think Clemson's kind of faded, to be honest with you. They have not played very well offensively. I know that's a big impetus for point of emphasis for the Manning family. They want to see a modern pro-style offense. So right now, I'd have to say it's a shocking here, right? Georgia-Alabama battle, which could be a Georgia-Alabama national championship game as well. I think it's going to come down to those two programs, and I don't think either one of them has managed to kind of pull ahead of the other one. I think they're still very much in the evaluation phase. But look, it's getting to the nitty-gritty. I know the Mannings want to make a decision after the high school season, so I would imagine sometime in January, February, he's going to make his call because they would like to commit to a school and create some momentum and bring some other top prospects in to the fold with him. He does not want to go into his senior year next year uncommitted. He wants to have that out, the recruiting process out of the way.
Matt, do you have a follow-up?
Thank you, man.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, thank you, buddy. Have a great day. Thanks for willing to come back and
sure.
answer that question.
Yeah, that's all America needs is Alabama to get Arch Manning and for 3 more years. I'm sure everybody in college football will love that if he commits to Alabama. But thanks for the question, Matt. Hopefully I'll see you all soon back over in Gulfport.
Okay, very good. Matt, thank you for joining us, man. And that was a great question. I as I mentioned, I was in Bay St. Louis recently, and anytime the Manning family comes up, everybody wants to know about Arch. What's his latest? And Jeff has written extensively about that. He's got incredible access to the Manning family, and we're lucky to have access to Jeff to talk about things like that. So let's shift gears. How are you guys doing, man? I mean, I just keep seeing all these announcements getting made about one thing or another. You guys have really started to hit on all the cylinders, haven't you?
Well, we had a little downtime in 2020 that kind of made us refocus and rethink about some things that we were doing, and we didn't really change gears too much, but we were able to tweak some things. And sometimes it's all about timing and being at the right place at the right time and having the right relationships. And right now we're on a roll, and we're going to keep doing it until it runs out.
So you've had some really, really interesting decisions you've made recently and some great successes. So why don't you kind of detail some of those for me?
Well, we were very fortunate last week. We were awarded $1.54 million for a safety and security grant through the Restore Act. Governor Reeves realized what we were dealing with in terms of the changes in society and things that are happening at large gatherings. So anytime that we can do something that benefits the public and makes them feel safer and provides better security, we certainly want to do that, but it's just a matter of paying for it. And this grant will allow us. So what we're going to do sometime in the mid to latter part of 2022 is replace every bit of the exterior lighting at the facility, the parking lot lights in every parking lot, the facade lights, and also at the same time install the latest, greatest security cameras throughout the parking lot areas and throughout all of the entrances. We have a lot of them now, but we're going to upgrade them and add even more. Cameras don't lie, and the threat of cameras sometimes is enough deterrent to where folks coming to do things they shouldn't be doing don't come.
Yeah. Hey, so you have to watch because you're in the business, you're a leader in your industry. Watch what happened over in Texas, and you have to say, wow, we have to make sure that never happens here. What runs to your mind when you see that?
Well, you go back years ago in Cincinnati, I think it was the Who had a show there where there was people that got killed, got trampled trying to get into a general admission situation, and fortunately we don't have to encounter very many of those types of events anymore. Those kind of went by the wayside, but you're always aware, or you have to be aware that when you have large gatherings, things can happen that can create problems like that. And I don't want to second guess anybody. I don't have all the facts and figures, but communication, so far what I've read sounds like that might have been one of the issues where they weren't able to communicate effectively. You've got to have different things in place to where you can shut a show down if you have a problem. So all of that is going to be looked at, and I'm sure there'll be best practices established from that. One thing for sure, that insurance will be going up. That's going to be a byproduct of this, and there will be some events that you won't be able to do anymore because you won't be able to insure them. So, you know what, when that fallout comes, we'll know it, and it'll ultimately affect the consumer because the consumer either pays more or won't be able to go to certain events any longer in the fashion that they've been presented over the years.
What was interesting to me about that concert is that when I first heard the headlines on it, what I envisioned was sort of a stampede. But what actually played out was if you were in one part of the arena, you didn't even know that this was happening. It just kind of, well, as you pointed out, they didn't stop the concert. It continued on. And there were these disastrous moments playing out all throughout the place. And unless you were near it, you didn't even know that it was happening. Gosh, that's just that really goes to communication, doesn't it?
Well, and here again, I don't want to second guess who did what or how they did it or what they didn't do, but just reading the accounts of what they've been able to ascertain that did happen certainly indicates to me that communication might have made that a little bit better.
Yeah. So Disney on Ice is coming back. You've got some cool concerts coming up. Give us kind of a rundown.
Well, actually, today will be our first performance of Disney on Ice. 7 shows, Thursday through Sunday, 1 Thursday night, 1 Friday night, 3 on Saturday, and 2 on Sunday. And they were just here back in April doing a make good from the show that we had to postpone in November of 2020 due to COVID. So already coming into the market in 2021 and then returning 5 months later, you would think that maybe the numbers wouldn't be as good. That's not the case. The numbers this time are actually stronger than the numbers were in April. So, once again, pretty much everything we're doing is really working. And what we have seen even on the rescheduled dates that have already dropped off the calendar because we were able to get them in, KISS, Mercy Me, Martin Lawrence, all of those shows performed better than what they would have performed back in 2020 in terms of what ticket sales were and gross revenues were. So, I got to be really, really happy, and we're very fortunate that we've seen this uptick when we've seen it, not only in business, but in the results of the business. I mean, even Ron Myers last weekend was up significantly over the previous year. We have to pay our own way. You know that. I tell you that all the time. But by having this kind of success, it certainly makes it easier for us to do some things that we hadn't been able to do.
And you got Morgan Whalen coming.
That show, we actually got that the day that we learned about the grant from the state. So that Monday was probably the best Monday I've had in 2021. Morgan Wallen is the hottest star right now out there, certainly in country music, maybe in all genres of music, and his ticket sales are brisk. I know we're getting close to a break. When we come back, I'll give you a little bit of insight on how that's working and what he's faced as a star that got canceled.
Yeah, it's an amazing story, and boy, the ticket sales, so impressive. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Matt McDonnell from the Mississippi Gulf Coast Coliseum and Convention Center. We'll see you after this.
You can also listen live to SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on your Amazon Alexa devices. Once you've enabled the skill, just say, Alexa, open SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back, now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Check us out, the new Bob 106.3.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi, your new home for the Ben Shapiro Show.
We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth.
The most electrifying national talk show on air today.
We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Ben Shapiro, brutally breaking down the issues of the day.
From politics to pop culture, we take a look at all of it. So don't miss out.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Thousands of Bulldog fans have subscribed to the Thunder and Lightning podcast. Have you? On each episode, Brian Haydad and Joel Coleman give you an inside look at your Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Thunder and Lightning podcast is free and available on demand at supertalk.fm and on your smartphone. Just search for Thunder and Lightning on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thunder and Lightning from SuperTalk Mississippi, covering the Bulldogs like no one else.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We're talking to Del Berra. Take me back to growing up and what it was like in the household with a dad like Yogi Berra.
You know, we grew up with his funny sayings. You know, I remember Dad managing the Mets, and me, Larry, and Timmy are watching the game on TV. And all of a sudden, two streakers run out of the stands on TV, and the camera flips away from them. So when he gets home, me, Larry, and Timmy say, "Hey, Dad, those streakers, what were they, boys or girls? We need to know." And Dad looked us right in the eye and said, "I couldn't tell. They had bags over their heads."
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back, now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Check us out, the new Bob 106.3.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. When we went to break, Matt McDonnell had just talked about a situation where the council might have gotten canceled. So let's talk more about that. Give your point of view about the Morgan Whalen situation.
Morgan Whalen is an act that's been around for a little bit, not a long time, a little bit. 3 years ago, he played on our Crawfish Music Festival stage. The very last show we did in 2020, before we had to pause for the pandemic, was a Jason Aldean date in the arena that sold out. Morgan Whalen was the lead support on that show, and the opening act was a guy by the name of Riley Green. Since that time, Riley Green has headlined our Crawfish Music Festival stage back in April. He's going to be in the arena January the 27th, I believe is the date, or 28th. He's going to be there as the headliner, and now Morgan is going to headline the arena on March 3rd. And Morgan's case, he was popular, but because of a slip of the tongue that he made amongst some friends that got caught on a cell phone video, everything kind of went off the table for him very quickly. And for whatever reason, maybe the public said enough, because right now he's selling more tickets than any artist out there, and he's selling them faster, and he could possibly break a record that we established back in June for gross ticket sales. He could possibly move Little Baby out the way and take the #1 spot in 44-year history of this building. That's how big he has gotten.
That's incredible. That really is incredible. He broke away from the William Morris agency. Tell me more about that.
Well, I have heard that that's in the makings. I don't have that absolutely confirmed, but he was not allowed to participate in the CMAs. The country music stations dropped his music. I believe his record label, he had some issues there. I mean, just a lot of things were happening for him that weren't good. And he has not only overcome that, he has surpassed probably all expectations that anyone could have ever had. And he went up yesterday with a number of shows on his 2022 tour that I would believe, if they performed like ours did yesterday, that he is going to be a very wealthy man for a long, long time.
That's really, really incredible. It's a case where the fan wouldn't enable their star, in this case, to be canceled, and they voted with their pocketbook. And,
well, there was a bit of irony in the World Series where they took the All-Star game out of Atlanta for whatever reason, and then they couldn't take the World Series out of Atlanta. That would have been pretty weird.
Wouldn't that is so ironic, actually. We should be talking more about that. They don't want to talk about that because that irony doesn't play to the agenda
or to the narrative.
It really doesn't. It really does. So you and I talked about this many, many times. You alluded to it just a second ago, but people generally don't appreciate that the only tax dollars that might be involved in the Coliseum is just paying off some old debt. But at the end of the day, you guys are entrepreneurial. You're running your own show. You're having to run your own P&L. You make it or break it based on your innovative work. When you assess sort of the state of affairs at the Coliseum these days, how do you feel about where you are?
Actually, we're better off now, Ricky, than we were before the pandemic. Now, taking everything into account, some of that was PPP money that we were able to get. Some of that was some grant money that was set aside for public assembly venues like ours that we were able to get. Some of it was just a lot of good fortune and a lot of hard work by our staff to make some things happen when other facilities and other markets around us were primarily shut down. And that, along with the relationships that we've had for so many years, it's really all come together at one time to where our bookings are up, our revenues are up, our expenses are slightly up, but that's part of the cost of goods and transportation and labor and everything else. But, I see 2022 and 2023 being phenomenal years for the building, not only in terms of events and revenues, but also the potential for a hotel to be built here without any tax support. That's the key. No tax dollars will go to subsidize a private developer building a hotel on the grounds of the Mississippi Coast Coliseum and Convention Center. That will be an amazing feat if we're able to pull that off. But based on the marching orders I have gotten for years from the powers to be, that's the way we're going to have to do it, and we're going to continue to push until we get that done.
And as we know, it would do so much to help on a number of events to have sort of a headquarters hotel located near the grounds or on the grounds. It's actually on the grounds because you guys have bought the property, et cetera. So it's a transformational need, and hopefully eventually you'll get it.
Well, we're going to keep pushing. We've got a developer out of New Orleans that has stuck with us and really wanted to make this happen. And he had some changes due to the pandemic and due to some shakeup in the company that he was partnering with in the deal. But he didn't quit, and he's found another way to do it. And we're meeting with him next week to update some demand numbers for hotel rooms here on the coast. As you're aware, hotel business has been through the roof even during the pandemic. So we're thinking our numbers may be good enough to maybe get a larger hotel.
Good. Matt McDonnell from the Coliseum. We appreciate you joining us. Good luck to you guys, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks. Hey, y'all keep listening. We got more stuff coming.
Absolutely. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.